So Apple had quite a few announcements today. First of which was new straps for the Apple Watch, including a product red, which is nice because if you buy product red, Apple will donate part of the proceeds of the purchase to fight AIDS in Africa. Although personally, for those of you who have some vision issues like myself, it's a very, very bright red, tomato red practically. I don't know. I'd like to see it in person, but it'll be interesting to see how it looks. Because one of the things about a watch is that it's extremely personal. Apple understands this, and that's why they've introduced all these new straps along with a couple of new colors for the sport variant. They've got a rose gold, rose gold and gold sport variant. I think they've got a rose gold of the Apple Watch edition. And for the stainless steel Apple Watch, they introduced an $1,100 variant in cooperation with one of the high-end watchmakers. What they did was they provided their trademark dial as an Apple Watch face choice, and they developed a strap for it that was signature of their brand. Don't ask me who it is because it's not somebody I'm familiar with. New straps for the Apple Watch. Again, you also have watchOS 2 coming out. watchOS 2 is starting to change my mind about the Apple Watch. At the very least, I want to try one on. I still am not decided if I'm going to buy one. I'm still leaning towards no. But I'd at least like to try one on because I think they've got a couple of more straps now with more holes in them. And I'm not a typical, when it comes to my wrist size, I'm not a typical guy. To be honest, a ladies' watch would better suit me. So it'll be interesting to see what they have available for the 42. I can wear any of the 38 millimeters, no problem. But I would like to get, if I did get the Apple Watch, just hypothetically speaking, if I did get the Apple Watch, I'd prefer the 42 because the 42 case would be no problem on my wrist. The bands are where we get into issues. But the 42 millimeter case wouldn't be a problem, and I would like the bigger screen size. So, Apple Watch, new bands, new OS coming out. Apple TV, brand new. If you take a look at the box, the Apple TV, you put the two side by side. The new one's going to be slightly taller. The remote is where we get into rather interesting things. There's a microphone for Siri, which has its own dedicated button. And they've got a real software overhaul on the device, including an app platform. It's got a new operating system, tvOS, which is a fork of iOS. And you can download apps. One of the games they demonstrated at the Keynote was this Crossroads, which is sort of a more modern take, sort of an 8-bit retro / modern 3D take on, I guess, Frogger, although you don't necessarily control a frog in this one. It's a chicken or a duck or whatever you want to do. But it's sort of a Frogger clone, I suppose, is the best way to describe it. The version that's coming for the Apple TV, for tvOS, is going to be exclusive in that it's the only platform on which you can do multiplayer, side-by-side multiplayer. And if you're familiar with Super Mario Bros. Wii, the way the multiplayer is going to work with this game, it's going to be similar. In other words, you can cooperate with each other, or you can kill each other to death to even make sure you can get run over by the cars. But it's going to be fun. I'm very interested to see how this is going to work out. And of course, Siri is on there, and it's very dynamic. You can say, show me movies with Tom Cruise. They'll show you movies with Tom Cruise. Show me movies that are appropriate for my 5-year-old. And Siri will go out and give you. And it won't just search Apple's own content either. It'll search Apple, Hulu, Netflix, and HBO all in one swoop. I personally wish that it would search Amazon Video because that's the one that I use primarily. Although I recently did get Hulu, so that does open me up a bit. But they did say that the feature would come to more content providers, and I'm very interested to see where this goes. So the Apple TV. Whoops. Next up is the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus. Physically speaking, no change. Unless you look at the back, there will be a little S in a square identifying the S insignia, or the S designation of the iPhone. New hardware. Brand new processor as usual. I believe it's an A9. New cameras, 12 megapixel on the back, 5 on the front, along with a new selfie flash. What they do is they make the screen super bright, which in a way it kind of reminds me of an old iPod Touch app that I had like 8 years ago, where I would activate this and all it did was make the screen bright white and you would adjust the brightness. That's how this quote-unquote selfie flash is going to work. I don't see myself using it. They've got some new, like I said, new hardware. Capacity is the same. They've got a faster Touch ID authentication. They've got a new technology under the hood called 3D Touch. Which is essentially a rebranded version of Force Touch with the Taptic engine that was found in the Apple Watch. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I'm very interested to try that. Personally speaking, I would not upgrade. I don't see... it is an upgrade, yes, but I prefer 2 generation leaps because I feel like 1 isn't necessarily enough. So a new design has to be in it for me in order to, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to tell the 2 devices apart. And you have to understand, for those of you who are new subscribers, I do have some vision loss. So being able to tell from across the room, if I were to put the 6S and the 6 Plus and the 6S Plus next to each other, wouldn't be able to tell them apart without first picking them up. In fact, I probably wouldn't be able to tell them apart without activating the 3D Touch. So for me, it has to be a new design in order for it to be worthy enough of an upgrade, but that's another story. But I am interested to see what it's all about. Same with the Apple TV, like I said. There is one collection of products that really took my breath away, though. Sorry, it's late. iPad Pro. Now, this has been rumored for several months, but it's got an A9 chip on board. You can get it either in, I think it's 32 or 128 gig capacities. What was it, 64 or 128? You can go to Apple's website and see for yourself. There's a quad stereo speaker system on the device, which is really big. In the fact that it'll be much more enjoyable to consume content. The screen size on this is 12.9 inches, which for me, coming from my late father's iPad mini, which I'm going to hold on to even if the software no longer works due to sentimental reasons, but if I did want to upgrade, the iPad Pro would definitely be it. Going from a 7.9 inch screen to a 12.9 inch screen, huge plus for me. This iPad has got better, sharper resolution than my iMac that I'm talking to you on. This 12-inch screen has sharper resolution than the 21.5-inch screen on my iMac. That's interesting. You get the same 10-hour battery life. It's iOS 9 when it comes out in November. So you're going to have the split screen technology. I'm very interested to try that, although I don't think my late father's iPad will be able to handle it. It's a 2012 first generation mini. And I don't think the hardware is going to support the new operating system, at least not all of the new features. But the big focus for the iPad Pro was the work and student environments. I am now a PhD student. For those of you who are subscribers of mine, that'll be a surprise for you. My focus is going to be on curriculum and instruction with an emphasis on educational technology. But this is my first semester of classes I'm taking right now. And what would be nice is to be able to have a PDF of a journal article on one side and be able to highlight with um, with another accessory that I'll get to in a moment, and be able to bring that over into Pages, and it'll just streamline the workflow so much. Same with doing a lot of reading. This week I've got about 100 pages to read. I've got half of it done so far, and I've got till Monday to do it, so I'm perfectly good on time. But next semester, I do think that I'm going to search iBooks for my textbook options if I needed anything. Some of my books are downloads, some are physical copy. And I do think that with iBooks or the Kindle app or Bookshare, if VoiceStream is watching this, if you guys are planning on integrating split screen application use to your VoiceStream apps, being able to have a Bookshare book on one side and VoiceStream Writer with my notes on the other and drag and drop, it'd be so wonderful. Microsoft was at the forefront today in the keynote demonstrating how you could do this with Excel, or PowerPoint and Word. And it's just like using, because what I do on my iMac right now is I'll have the preview app open, take down, highlight important stuff from an article, paste it over to Notes and Text Edit, and come back to those for later reference.
It's 12 o'clock.
So it'd just be a really nice addition to the workflow. Now, a lot of people are thinking iOS is too limiting, etc., etc., etc. There are thumb drives that have lightning connectors with the apps that come with them, and you can export documents to thumb drives that have, like I said, lightning on one end and USB on the other. I might pick one of those up, to be honest. And a lot of other people are saying that it doesn't really have the horsepower. Apple's claiming the A9X chip in the iPad Pro is desktop class performance. We'll have to wait and see. But I can tell you that the iPad Pro, along with what you see in front of it, which is the smart keyboard, going to be really wonderful for a student and for a creative professional. Excuse me. There were some apps demonstrated on stage today, and I wanted to get to those because the iPad Pro and the Apple Watch were at the forefront of these apps, and these apps are to help doctors and medical students. The one on the Apple Watch is to help doctors keep much closer track of their patients. The software is completely encrypted to medical standards for federal privacy standards for patients. But the really cool thing is that if something does happen and the doctor's not immediately available, say he's on another campus or whatever, if you're at the hospital and something happens, the nurse on their Apple Watch can take note of the stats. The doctor would receive it immediately and give the nurses or on-call staff directions on how to proceed right there and then, immediately, no waiting. On the iPad Pro, they showcased an app that could simulate various medical conditions. On stage, they demonstrated how you could simulate various stages of arthritis. And a student could use that while studying. A doctor could use it to educate the patient in real time about what's going on. These are the kinds of things that I personally like to see. Groundbreaking software and hardware that can help to better our lives. One of the more interesting accessories that came out today, or will be coming out, I'm sorry, with the iPad Pro in November, is the Apple Pencil. I am very interested to see how this works out. It's a stylus, but it's not unlike any other stylus that I know of, personally. You can alter the angle and it'll automatically know what to do as far as thickness and angle of the stroke and whatnot. The cap pops off of the pencil, and in the back end of the Apple Pencil is a lightning connector, so you can go ahead and charge with the iPad Pro's battery. So it'll be interesting to see how that works and how that turns out. I hope personally that somebody comes up with a design for this. If they're calling it the Apple Pencil, I would love to see one that looks like the old number 2 pencils I used to use in school. That would be a laugh. But, so there we go. So, new straps for the Apple Watch. Brand new Apple TV.
12 o'clock a.m.
iPhone 6S and 6S Plus. And the iPad Pro with the smart keyboard and the Apple Pencil. Now, I've already given you my personal opinions. I'd like to hear yours. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.